My name is Roger Mayer. I'm probably best known for my signature product, the Octavia, which Jimi Hendrix first used on the famous record Purple Haze and also Fire, and in subsequent times on Axis Boulder's Love, and he featured it prominently on the Band of Gypsys concert. My involvement with actual sound and why sound is so important to recording goes back to when I was quite young, 15 or 16 and going to school, and I grew up in the same area of London, which is now probably, they call it the Surrey's Blues Delta, with people like Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page, who played in local bands. And we used to go around to Jimmy Page's house on a Sunday with Jeff, and we'd listen to the up-and-coming American records, and we were intensely interested in why the American records sounded different than the English productions. And this is really what I guess Jeff and Jimmy and myself, we were really intensely interested in what made the sound that great, you know, because obviously, put it mildly, within 8 seconds, if you listen to something, you know whether you like it or not, and that's very important. And we realised that, all of us back then, so that sparked my interest into the electronic side of it. In those early days, you know, 62, 63, 64, everyone was interested in having pioneering new sounds. So that was a primary force in making records. You needed a fresh new sound. I've always been really interested in the artistic side of achieving a new, exciting end result, which means basically an exciting hit record. And that's what Jeff and Jimmy did in the early part of their careers, and I helped them. I was fortunate enough, a few days after my 21st birthday, to go to the Bag of Nails, and I saw a performance of Jimi Hendrix there. And it was like a who's who of the English music business who was in the audience. And to say that, you know, everyone was overwhelmed would be an understatement, you know. When I spoke recently to Jeff, you know, I mean, you know, it was like Jeff was talking to me and he said, yeah, when I first heard Jimmy, it was like I wanted to go and get a day job, you know, because, I mean, here you had an artist who not only was fantastic, you know, guitar player, superb showman, and he could sing as well. And then you've got Jimi Hendrix, who could do both. You know, you couldn't tell whether he was singing or playing. It's the same intensity of playing. And then you've got the showmanship, and you've got the tricks, you know, of playing the guitar between his legs, behind his back, and all the rest of it with his teeth. England had never seen anybody like that. You know, there's never been another guitar player like that, and even to this day, who is that much of a showman. So there we are. You know, the first time I saw Jimmy, I said, yeah, this is the real deal. He was the talk of the town at the time, and everyone says, you've got to see this guy, Roger, you've got to see him, because they'd known I'd been working with Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck, making boxes for them, which had been used on hit records, you know, but this guy was something else, you know. And I introduced myself after the show, and we started to talk about tone and the possibilities of tone with the guitar, and we immediately hit it off. And he invited me down to a concert at Chislehurst Caves where he was playing, and then I took along a prototype of a new pedal I had been designing called the Octavia. He debuted that in a dressing room on a small amplifier, and then said, oh, I've got an idea for that. So Jimmy said, well, I'm going to be playing a gig in Hounslow in a couple of weeks' time. Please come along to that, because after that, we're going to go along to Olympic Studio. And then we can use this sound, this brand new sound, which no one ever had heard before, on my next single, which was Purple Haze. And then Jimmy recorded the 2 overdubs for Purple Haze and Fire. And then as they say, after that, the rest was history, and I became part of the family. Jimmy and I started hanging out and just non-stop talking about the possibilities of what different tones you could bring, you know, to the table, because Jimi Hendrix went from a ballad, right, Haze, into what amounted to really like was the beginning of psychedelia with Purple Haze. By June, we had cobbled together an album called, Are You Experienced? This box was developed quite soon after Purple Haze. I would say this particular one that was used on the Band of Gypsys, that would have been made in 1968. A brief explanation of the Octavia would be that it is a mirror imaging device, electronic mirror imaging, which would be like holding a candle up in between two mirrors, and you get an infinite succession of images that repeat until infinity. This box does that electronically. It also has been carefully designed, as is really important with most electronics, to only produce natural, even sounding harmonics. So it sounds alien but natural. To create sounds that sound memorable, they have to obey certain type of, natural phenomenon. Well, it is history, yeah, for sure. I mean, we actually know that this box was used. It was on the Band of Gypsys, which is probably one of the most iconic live recordings of a singer-songwriter guitar player ever. I don't think there's been a better one made, because if there is, I want to hear it, and I haven't heard it. At the time, it was so poignant and so apropos, the songs and the way Jimmy was playing, and it's live. It's not done on a loop, it's not done on this and that, it's the real deal. It's one man, three men. One man playing the guitar, fantastic drummer and a bass player, boof, done. So this box was the actual one that was used. So this is this historical box. It made the machine gun sounds, it made, I think it's fair to say, without this Octavia, the Band of Gypsys would not sound the same. Couldn't have sounded the same. This box becomes part of his performance, part of his sonic palette. These type of radical sounds, when they're used correctly by a fantastic guitar player, it would be like giving a fantastic Renaissance artist a brand new pigment, a brand new colour. And that's the way that Jimmy and I used to talk about it, It's the colours of the tone. And once they get woven into the song and then into the performance, it becomes magical, and memorable.